Hello everyone, welcome to Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque, painting live at 7 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, November 4th, I believe it is. So we have in the screen our Warm Winter Wishes November box, which is a clay magic molds, and we have Jack the Moose holding some ornaments, and then we have Jack the Ornament in medium size, and then you'll also be getting two of the Jack ornaments in the smaller size. She'll be getting the Bisque, snow, glitter, and the pipe cleaners that we used on him. So Courtney's working on bubble wrapping everything and get everything boxed up to ship tomorrow, start shipping tomorrow. We have a few invoices out there that need to be paid yet, so if you need to pay your invoice, please pay your invoice yet. There's probably a couple of boxes left yet. I'm not sure. I didn't get to talk to Courtney.
It's getting really down there.
Courtney says it's getting really down there, so if you still want a November box, you still can go on Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque.com and purchase a November box. So this is our November box that we'll be shipping, and then starting next Thursday, so we can put that aside because we did finish our pumpkins early, so we have an extra little freebie class tonight. Last Saturday we had a Halloween party, and I painted this Donna's Sweet Tot Witch that went with the box for October, and some of you did get her too, so hopefully you can, some of you got to paint her. I didn't get to touch her up yet, but that's what she's looking like with all her glitter on her and her garnet red outfit. I probably would go with real red next time. I kind of like the bright red instead of the real red, but we did red and purple on her, but she's still cute. And tonight Courtney has for us the Mako Squatty Pumpkin, because some of you have that. And I don't have a sample made because oh, the oval, I'm sorry, this is the oval pumpkin, the Mako oval pumpkin. Some of you purchased that. No, one's fine. One is fine. So Wanda says she went looking for us on YouTube. I think that'll probably be next week. I have to touch base with Courtney on that yet. We haven't done a trial run or anything. So this is the Crackle mushroom top that we did on one of our boxes. And so we are going to do that on our pumpkin tonight. So that's what we're going for, something like that. But like I said, I didn't have time to actually have a finished sample here for you guys to look at, and so we're gonna just start from Bisque, and we talked about what colors, so we're gonna put Lime Burst underneath. So I have our Mako SS376 Lime Burst. So we're gonna give that a shake and put some on our foil after I get my hole unplugged. So hope everyone had a good week and a good Thanksgiving, or not Thanksgiving, Halloween. So we have our Lime Burst. And then I just have a larger round nylon brush, a size 8, and you should have one in your boxes. Courtney thinks you're getting a 6 this month. So hello everyone. Looks like you guys are all finding us here tonight. So I'm going to actually dip in my water first to condition my brush to keep the paint out of the ferrule, and then I tap it on my paper towel to get that extra moisture out. And so this is a nylon brush for painting. I'm going to dip into my Lime Burst, and now I'm just going to coat a nice base coat of Lime Burst, or I'm going to paint it out with Lime Burst. And to do that, I'm just brushing back and forth. So when you're doing that, I can see like there's a big puddle there, so you want to brush any puddles and ridges and rivers out. If you have a chunk that comes out of your paint, you want to wipe that off if you can. And then we're just going to brush back and forth. Again, I'm starting on one area and then working around it, kind of just like when we're dry brushing, so I can know where I'm at. And we need some more Lime Burst. So you could do this with any colors. Whatever color you want to come through your crackling is your base coating color. So that kind of depends on what you want it to look like. So we're just going to brush back and forth and get a nice layer on here. Probably do our stem with the lime burst too. And then I probably won't put the glue on the stem.
Why do you dip it in the water first?
So I did dip my water brush in the water first, and that is to condition your bristles, and that keeps the paint from going up into the ferrule where the ferrule and the brush meet. It tends to want to go up in there, and then it gets dried up in there, and then they kind of splay out, and you don't have that nice point on your brush. So that's just for when you're painting. You wouldn't do that with your dry brushes, just your nylon brushes before you start painting. Almost kind of like when you're washing your hair, you kind of condition it with the water by putting the water in there first before you put the shampoo in it. Kind of that same basis, I guess. But it just helps keep all that paint from drying up in the center of your brush and going up into your ferrule. So we're just working our way around. And then I made it around here so I can see I have white coming through in a few spots yet. So I'm actually going to give it one more coat. And I must have a piece in my paint bottle here.
Kathy asked you always do it just in base coat staining.
So we have a question from Kathy. I gotta see what it says. I'm not sure what she means. Do you always just do it in base coat staining? As far as dipping in the water, yes, you wouldn't do it with dry brushing. You want your brushes dry and not full of water. It's just when you're taking a nylon brush to paint or base coat, or you may be painting little areas out. Even then you would do it if you're painting. You're just painting and using the nylon brush. If it's your boar bristle dry brushes, you won't dip that in the water before you start painting. It's just when you're using your nylon brushes. You're going to want to keep your dry brushes dry until you dab them in the paint a little bit. So hopefully that makes sense, and that's what you're wondering. So Clara says she tends to forget. I tend to forget too, but I'm trying to be a better teacher and remember that so I can tell you guys that. It gets to be a habit if you just do it. And then you always want to get your bottoms nice as well. You want that to always look as good as the rest of it. And I do have my fingers stuck in there, so we'll let that dry for a little bit. And then if you have your Harold's brush pad, you can put that in the bottom of your water and then swish your brush back and forth across that, and that will take all that paint out of that brush. And then I like to dab it on my, whoa, got water everywhere, on my paper towel again. But then I also take it and kind of groom it into its point. So when it's drying, it dries with that nice point on it. So you want to groom your nylon brushes too back to their point. You can see he's got a nice point on him now, and he's not just splattered everywhere. So you do want to do that, and then you want to lay them horizontal to let them dry because you don't want that water to go down into your ferrule and loosen up your glue. So once they're dry, I usually let them lay horizontal overnight and then put them vertical after that, so we can set that aside for a minute. I can wipe up my water mess here. And I gotta grab some more paper towel. Hold on. So while our paint is drying, we are going to look at our glue. We have Elmer's Glue All glue. So it's not the school glue or the wood glue. Any directions I've read on doing this, you need to use the glue-all glue. So make sure you use the glue-all glue. I have seen where someone has used the Dollar Tree glue and it works. I have not tried the Dollar Tree glue, but apparently that does work. Anything I've read says to use the glue-all glue, and that's what works. So that's what we're going to use tonight. So we're going to open that up. Now, we haven't used this for a long time, so hopefully it comes out. And we're going to put some glue on our foil here. So I got a pretty good pile to start with. So now, depending on what direction you paint your glue on is going to determine your crackles. So these were done kind of in a horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. If you do just one direction, it's going to crack all in one direction. I think with the pumpkin, I'm going to do all in one direction and not the various directions. But if you want it to go in different directions, then like here I went down and up and down and then left to right, kind of different angles, and that's how you get that more of a scattered look to it, but I want more of a linear look to go with our pumpkin. So now I'm just going to take my brush, and it already has water in it, so I have my glue. I'm going to dip into my glue, and I'm just going to paint all up and down, or the direction of the sections of the pumpkin. So let's see, Cordy says we got some comments going on. They tend to go away on me. Denise says she learned brush care from us. Well, that's good, Denise. That's good, so I'm glad we were helpful, so thank you. So I'm just brushing my glue on, kind of going, because the pumpkin is on its side, I'm going left to right. So it all depends how you want your stripes to be. It's just a nice layer of it. Not real thin, not super thick either. So need some more of our glue. And I'm just going up to the stem because I don't think I'm going to crackle the stem. And then I'm just going to keep turning and doing each section. Just getting a nice layer on there. And we're just brushing back and forth. And if you didn't want the whole thing to crackle, you only wanted part of it to crackle, you could probably do just part of it too. Say if you just wanted the top half to crackle, you could just do the top half. So it's kind of up to your own imagination. Courtney did use a sponge on one of the mushrooms when she did it during our live, when we did the mushrooms, and the crackles came out really, really tiny using a mushroom or a sponge. It looked kind of like a galaxy kind of stuff, you know. So I'm going to have to sit him down and get some more glue. And then we'll pick it up and put it back on my fingers, and then we're just, you don't have to rush. The glue is going to dry just a little bit, but not a ton. By the time we come back around, we'll probably be able to start with the paint. You can wait a minute because it's kind of a small piece.
Did you do the mushroom sections?
Cordy asked if I did the mushroom in sections. No, I did not. I did the whole thing at once. I mean, I think the more glue you have, the more crackles you'll get, but you don't want it so thick that it's running either. So I am going up and down or in one direction. You could go one swipe one way and then one swipe the other way. It all depends what you want for a pattern. You can kind of practice that and see what you like. I just thought with the pumpkin I would go with the sections of the pumpkin and just go up and down. So now it's all brushed out really nice, and as I come back around I can see that it's starting to dry here. So that's good. So now I'm back to the beginning and I want to brush out my brush really, really well. I want to get that glue out of there. And I'll do that a couple times. And from there we decided to use, I think we were going to use Doc Holliday's Regal Purple, but I'm going to use Duncan's Grape. Is that a color we have and can get, or is that a discontinued color too? Discontinued? I guess, can you give me a purple that we can get? They don't, Duncan really doesn't have a very dark purple anymore. They kind of got rid of the darkest one. Pansy? Well,
No, I don't have it. I have to go upstairs.
we haven't used that in the box though, have we?
No, I don't have much of it either. I guess just use that.
So we're going to use purple. That's what we've used before. So it's Duncan's Purple OS 452 Purple. If you wanted it darker, you could add a drop of black to it, or you can use equal parts of real red and navy, and you'll get a nice dark purple. So we'll just go with the grape for tonight. They're very close in color value, so normally I probably wouldn't do that. So now I can see that it's starting to lose its shine where we started. So I'm going to dip into my purple, and again I'm just going to kind of paint my paint right over the top of that glue. Kind of brush it out so it's not really thick and puddly. And then as that glue starts to dry, it's going to start crackling. And it will also crackle more overnight as it dries overnight too. So we might have to have a little show and tell. Maybe Courtney can post a picture tomorrow of it as it dries more. Or over the weekend or something, or even next Thursday. So I'm just brushing. You can see it goes right on over the glue. Just because the glue is starting to lose its shine, so it's dry enough that it can go on. Probably should have brought a heat gun. That would have maybe helped our crackling. Oh, you have a heat gun? Okay. Handy?
Yeah.
Well, do you want to get it?
Yep.
So you can see the glue may mix a little bit with the paint, but once it starts losing that shininess, the paint pretty much goes right over the top of it. And I'm just keep spinning it on my fingers here. This is pretty much I think it's a really old technique that people have done years and years ago, like on wooden signs and stuff like that, cupboards. But it's something we can use as a non-fired technique on our pieces. You'll just want to seal it really well after it's dry, because if it does get wet, the glue will just get kind of soft. So you would want to seal this once it's dry, like give it a day maybe. But you can see I'm just brushing a nice layer of paint right over the top of the glue. It really doesn't mix with it a lot, maybe just a little bit. And the glue is just starting to lose its shine. Hopefully you can see that. And so it's just dry a little bit, but not a lot. So you can see as I'm coming back around here, it's actually starting to crackle. And it is linear because I'm going up and down mostly. Yep, Courtney's got me a heat gun here, so you can see it's starting to crackle, so it starts pretty quick. I'll hold it a little closer, you guys can hopefully see it.
Kathy asked if you could basically any
Yes, you can base coat any color. Whatever color you base coat is going to be the color coming through it. So let's see if the heat gun does anything. So you can see it's starting to crackle just as we made our way around. Hopefully you can see that. So let's put the heat gun on it. So I don't have it real close just to help it kind of move it along. Just kind of spin it here. So with the glue drying is what's making that paint crackle. So it's really cool, easy. I mean, kids could do this, elderly people, if you're working in a nursing home for activity or something. The glue is pretty safe. But you can see it's just crackling. Normally I just let it dry overnight, but you can see you can use the heat gun to help it along. So it's looking pretty good. So it's just the Elmer's Glue All Glue. Base coat it whatever color you want to crackle. And then whatever color you want your top coat. And just as the glue dry, it makes it crackle. And your crackle pattern will depend upon which way you're brushing your glue and your paint. So that's something to keep in mind. What? Can you guys hear okay? We can set that aside. So let's see. See if we got any questions. So it'll keep crackling. That was just to kind of rush it along so you guys could kind of see, but you can see it really crackles it. The glue is still wet, so it's going to crackle some more. Cordy says we should do one in traditional, like what?
I don't know if you only 10 minutes.
Like rust and orange or something, or black and orange? You have another one?
Yeah,
Cordy's going to grab another one. So you can see just how quick and easy that is. Now if you wanted, you could probably do your stem in a different color, like maybe brown. We can do that, I suppose, as long as that went really fast. Let me grab the paint cart here. Hold on. That's gray. We don't want gray. I'm going to grab some black brown and paint our stem with the black brown. And then we can put some glue on there and maybe put a different color on the top, just so you can show you can do different stuff. So we'll just put our black brown over the stem. And we'll do the stem right away. So this is still drying. It's going to keep drying probably overnight. It'll crackle more, but that's kind of the gist of it. Oh, well, that's good. So I'm trying not to touch the paint so I get my fingerprints in it. But we'll put the brown here on our stem. And then we can put a light brown over the top.
You don't water down the glue.
Nope, do not water down the glue. Okay, so I'm going to set this guy down and let our brown dry. And then Courtney brought another pumpkin, so I think we'll do, let's just do some black on this one. So here is the glue bottle. It comes in smaller bottles. I did just get the big one. It's called Elmer's Glue All. You got to make sure it's Glue All glue, not the wood glue or the school glue. You want it to have the GLUE-ALL, Glue All, Elmer's Glue All. So now we'll actually do another one here quick. Yep, just it has to be the Glue All glue. So So we're going to just make this one, Cordy wants a traditional one, so we're going to paint black on this one. So my brush is already wet because we've been in and out of the water here tonight. And so we're going to just paint this one black while our other one is drying. So that would be a real fun project for the kids. Yep. Actually, I might have to tell Casey that might be a good one for the 4-H Super Saturday. They'd all be different then because they'd all pick different colors. And so again, I'm just brushing out my black, which is OS476, just our acrylic black paint. And I'm just working the way around our little pumpkin here. You could do this on Easter eggs. You could do it on, I don't know, I guess if you had like a heart box and you wanted you could do it on something like that on the outside. It wouldn't be food safe, so that is something to keep in mind anytime with the acrylics.
And that's if you can use metallic paint over the glue.
So we have a question if you can use the metallic paint over the glue. I would think you can, because the glue is, all it's doing is shrinking. And then that's making the paint crackle. I haven't tried it, but I would imagine that it would work. I don't know why it wouldn't. Cordy says we got time to try. Oh. If you want, I guess. So I'm just brushing out our black.
You want to try it on the little back one?
Sure. Probably one of the little ones. So I'm just going to brush it back and forth. You could do it on Christmas ornaments. Cordy just gave me one of the Jack ornaments. We'll try after this one with the metallic stuff. So we'll just get all of our pumpkin covered here. So it's just a matter of base coating and then just remembering what the base color is what's going to come through on the crackles. It's what's going to like appear. I mean, you could do it like on, say you were doing a dinosaur, like you could do it on a dinosaur for the dinosaur skin. That might be kind of cool. Maybe even on like a Frankenstein's face or something.
Cindy asked, can you use the rubber across the purple pumpkin you just did? I think maybe on the stem.
You could use the rub on the stem. I don't know if you'd want to use it on
You could actually.
I mean, you could use it on here, but you'd probably lose your crackles.
What if you just highlight it with it?
If you went really light, you could probably just highlight it a little bit. So let's see, I think we will paint our Jack navy, kind of give it a blue Christmas bulb. Gold or silver, I'd probably do silver, but so I just have navy OS 460 for Jack. Should probably get the other Jacks out of the way so we don't get them all full of paint. So Kathy's got a question. I gotta keep bringing the comments up here. So Kathy says, if you have a big pumpkin, would you put the glue on in sections? I probably would on a bigger pumpkin, do it in sections. I probably wouldn't go much bigger than the mushroom top, which is probably 12 inches across, 10 inches across, to do one whole piece. I think so for Jack, we'll probably go around his face, and then I would probably dry brush that. But we can try to crackle the rest of his ball here, his Christmas tree ball. So we have a question, can you do it on a textured piece? I would think so, but not super textured. Like a Christmas tree? Yeah, I don't know. You could. I would try it on a little one first. And when we have another question, could you try it on a snowman? I would think you could try it on a snowman. That's a lot smoother. The tree, I would try a little tree first. Maybe I can try that this week, Saturday at the classroom if it's slow. and post the picture over the weekend. I think we have a little tree on the shelf. So this guy, I think we'll go over with silver to see what the silver does, but I'm pretty sure it'll work. And then I can paint the cap silver. That'll kind of bring the silver into it. But I'm only going to come up to his face, because then I'll probably dry brush the face. So I don't think I want his face all crackled up. It'll be hard to paint his eyes with crackles. So let's put him aside. See if I can get our comments back. We're going to wash out our brush again. So now we have our first pumpkin that I put the black brown on it, and I think now we'll go with some medium brown. See, that's light brown. Oh, I got rosy tan. We can use rosy tan. That'll work too. So now I have my glue pile over here. So I'm just going to dip in my glue. And it looks like I need some more already. So it's just straight out of the bottle. And I'm going to just brush over the stem here. Just brush the glue on. You can see our pumpkin still crackling. I just think these would be really cool on Easter eggs. It'll probably be my next favorite thing to try them on. Although the snowman with probably with the navy underneath and then the white over the top would probably be good, or even like a medium blue. Okay, so we have our glue on there. And we're going to let that get a little dull first, so I'll set that aside. And let's put the glue on there and get the silver. So we have our little jack guy here, and I'm just going to kind of go around up to the cap and then kind of around his face with the glue. And then the cap I'll paint the silver. See what we end up with tonight. Courtney's idea here to do the jack. We'll see what we get. And then we'll paint our glue on our ball part here. Probably need a drying rack if you got one. I'm just brushing it on, kind of doing up and down mostly. Thank you. So he's covered except his face. So I'm just going to put him on the drying rack, and we'll go back to the stem because that's getting a little bit dull now. And we'll go to our medium brown, OS471, medium brown. And we just need a little tiny bit because it's just that little stem. So I kind of like to use a dark color and a light color, whether it's top or bottom, but just so you have more, so it's more dramatic instead of close together. But the green actually is coming through the purple pretty good. You can see it. And now I'm just putting our medium brown over our stem. The glue does, so we have a question, do we have to let the glue dry a little bit? I do let it dry just so it kind of loses its shine, but it's not dry completely. So we'll let our stem dry now. And we'll wash out my brush. And now we'll just go to our silver, which is our UM956 silver, and we'll see what that does on our ornament, but that should crackle as well. It shouldn't matter. I did kind of paint them in one direction. We can do the ornament here in different directions. If you have a flat brush, that works a lot better for different directions. So you can see our glue is just starting to lose its shine a little bit. So I'm just going to go one way and then another way. You can go crossways. You can like kind of dab it. So you can see I'm not just going straight up and down, I'm just kind of going in different directions here. Am I too far up? So I'm not just going up and down, I'm just kind of going any old way. Am I in the thing or what? So I'm just dabbing it this way and that way, so our crackles should be more like our mushroom now, instead of linear like they are on the pumpkin. Yes, the more it dries, the more it crackles. It's the glue underneath that's pulling the paint. You can use a regular brush for the glue. Probably not your favorite expensive brush, and yes, you definitely want to wash it out really well when you're done. So I'm just going to let his face, because I would probably dry brush that later at some point. I wouldn't do it tonight because the glue kind of needs to really dry overnight. Okay, so we kind of got him all jazzed up here with silver. So we'll put him on the little drying rack here. And we'll wash out our brush again. And I'll get some more paper towel because we're kind of making a mess here with all this water. Alright, so now we have our stem is still drying, so we'll just let that dry. We can maybe use the heat gun if it doesn't dry by the end. And let's see, we'll go with the orange. How about some hot orange on our pumpkin, just our traditional pumpkin. I have OS 439, but first I have to go with glue. So it's painted black, and now we're going to go with glue. Again, my brush is clean and already wet, so I'm just going to do it on the pumpkin and not on the stem. Yes. So Joyce asks, is it the top coat direction that determines the crackle direction? Yes, it's the top coat direction of the paint, yes. So we're just going to get a nice layer of glue on here. You don't want to be too skimpy with it, and you don't want to have it running either, so, but you do want a nice layer. And I'm just going with the sections on the pumpkin. It just, I don't know, it just seems more natural than going every which way. Again, it's just the Elmer's Glue All glue. These would probably, if you have like the plain round Christmas balls, that would probably work for this too. What else? Oh, winter stuff, yeah. Maybe snowflakes, Courtney said. Yep, we do have some Clay Magic snowflakes. They'd probably be kind of cool on that. So we have a question, is the glue a substitute for quick crackle? There's all kinds of different crackle mediums out there, depending upon what company makes it, what they name it. It's basically this is just basically a DIY version of it. Probably a lot cheaper version as well. Yeah, more for your money, Courtney says. You'll find it like if you do any of the decorative painting, like on boards and things, that's where they kind of where this came from. But you can adapt that to your ceramic stuff too. As you can see, we've done that with a few different things. We did the tissue paper, and now we're doing the glue. So even though you have pumpkins, like, you can do tons of different things with the same thing. So now I'm back around and I can see, I don't know if you can see it, but like our glue is starting to lose its shine. Where it's thicker, it is shiny. But once it starts losing its shine, that's where you can start putting your paint, your next layer of paint on. So I'm going to just go with our hot orange. So I have OS439, and you just have to remember that your base coat is the color that's going to be in the cracks. And then your top coat is like your main color coat. So now I have my hot orange. I can see where I got back to the beginning here. It's starting to crackle. So now I'm just going to brush. Again, I'm going to go with my sections. I just kind of like that more with the pumpkins, to kind of just go with the sections. And it's just a nice layer of paint, not super thick and not super thin. You don't want to brush it out a lot. Again, you don't want it running, but there's just a nice layer. I would think this black and orange is going to be really nice. Let's come right up to our stem. And right down to the bottom. It is really important to seal this after it's really dry or the next day, because if it does get wet, the glue is going to soften up and it's going to kind of make a mess out of it. So you do want to seal it with your, I just use the aerosol satin or matte sealers. But if it gets soaked with water, it does soften the glue back up. So, getting a cramp in my hand there, holding that thing up in the air. So we're just coming right up to our stem. And then just painting out our orange. And now I got my finger in the paint there. It's kind of forgiving. It doesn't have to be real perfect. You could sponge it on. Courtney did that one time too, but it just makes really, really small crackles if you sponge it on.
I feel like you must have did that because I don't have a memory.
No? It's when we did the...
But you did it?
No, I think you did it when I was doing something else during the live.
Blacked out.
Must have been tired. Okay, so now we have a nice layer of our orange on there. We can, you can see it's kind of starting to crackle because that glue is starting to dry. So we'll put it on our drying rack. I will wash out my brush. And you do want to wash out that brush really, really well. I'd use some Dawn dish soap. Make sure you get all that glue out of there. So we have the heat gun again. So we can see our stem on our pumpkin. It's starting to crackle here a little bit. We can put the heat gun on it and we'll get a little bit loud for a few minutes and see what we get it to crackle some more. So hold on, you guys. So let's see if we can kind of speed it up a little bit. You can see the white underneath there. That's still our wet glue. But our stem is cracking. So just a... I mean, if you had other squashes and things, you could do that with that. I mean, I know there's different squashes, molds, and... Huh? Mako gourds. Yep, we work good on the gourds that we had the gourds in the box. And this will crackle more overnight as that glue really dries good. But it's cracking. You can hopefully see it. Try to get the stem to dry here a little bit more. It just has that nice weathered kind of a look to it. And you can see you can mix colors, like the stem is one color and the pumpkin itself is another color. So it's starting to come through really good right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. So hold it up there a little bit. And let's see, let's go to our silver one and see what he's doing. So he's kind of going all over the place, so that's because we did our brush in different directions. So you can change your pattern just by doing that. So he's looking pretty cool too. But the more it dries, the more crackly it gets. And I just generally let it sit overnight. We do have the heat gun here to speed it up a little bit. You can see that it doesn't matter that it's the metallic, that works too. It's starting to come. Got a little bubble there. But that's looking good. That'll make a cute ornament for sure. And let's go to our pumpkin. You can see it's crackling as well. You can still see the white through it, so that tells me that the glue isn't dry yet. We should see black. But it's starting. So you can use the heat gun or the hair dryer to kind of speed it up a little bit if you didn't want to wait overnight. But kind of really liking the orange and the black. What are you guys thinking? Good stuff? No good? So just something really simple and pretty cheap. Just get yourself a big bottle of glue and you probably have everything crackling you can get your hands on. You can even put this like on the witch's hat. That might have been a good idea too. So you can do little areas too. It don't have to be just a big area. This has a ways to dry yet because I can still see the white through it, but you can see it's crackling. So it really just use your imagination. I'm sure there's tons of different things you can put this on. So he's crackling up pretty good there. We'll put him aside for a little bit and go back to our ornament. He's crackling really good around the edge. It just needs to dry more, but you can see the blue through there. So that's, if you go different directions, you get different crackles. So just kind of keep that in mind too when you're doing it. But it's coming. And we can come back to our stem on this guy. The black is coming through. It's looking really good. So we'll go back to our pumpkin here. I think the pumpkin might be my favorite with the orange and the black. But it does have a ways to dry yet because the glue is still wet under there. So, let's see. Can you hold the ball closer to the camera? Hold on. So here's our little ball. He still has to dry a lot yet, but you can see it's starting to give its... Now I did have an air bubble there. I'd probably go back and put some silver on there. Because as that glue dries, that's going to crackle overnight, but it's getting there. And I just brush his face with some white and put silver on the cap, and he'd be... Or you can even put gold. But the metallic definitely works. So we have a question, do you seal it? Yes, it's very important to seal it, because if it gets soaking wet, the glue is going to soften and the paint is going to be a really mushy mess kind of. So do make sure you seal it after it's very dry, like the next day. But our crackles are coming through our ball too. Black and red, that would be good too, yep. So that's our little snowball. Maybe I'll paint him, dry brush him before our for our unboxing next week to show you what he looks like all painted up. But as he's drying, he's crackling more. So I'll kind of go slower here so the camera kind of focuses in on it better. So he's looking good. Then we have our first one, our purple one with the line burst, and then the black and the medium brown. And this one I just went one direction, so all my crackles are pretty much going in that up and down direction, but I kind of like that for the pumpkin. So now this will crackle a little bit more overnight as that glue's drying, because I can still see white in there, so that glue is not completely dry yet. So that's the purple one. And then we have the really cool black one. I'd probably touch up my stem here with the black and then dry brush that as well. But I'd want to let my glue dry before I did all that so I don't have fingerprints, get fingerprints in my paint. But you could just dry brush that with some brown. But you can still see there's white in our cracks. So our glue's not dry yet, so it's going to keep cracking. Let's see if I can get my fingers in there. But it's looking really cool, you guys. So let's see. Janet says she was going to do the top hats of the people with the tissue. Oh, that's a good idea. So we have a question from Patricia. Do we sell the stands? We did sell the stands, but then when there was the lumber shortage, and I have to talk to Cordy, but I think we might have them for Black Friday. I'm not sure what the status of that is either. So Cordy thinks we will have some for Black Friday, but the lumber has gone up, so I'm guessing the price of them has gone up as well. Cordy says she'll be putting them on the website. It'll probably be our one of our Black Friday specials. No orders through messages. It'll just be on the Black Friday special. She'll post that. But it's a really nice stand. The little pegs come with it, and then they just stick in the holes, and you can move them around. You can even put them, like if you have 3 of them in the same size, you can kind of put them in a triangle. If you have something really weird that doesn't want to go in the holes, and you can even sit it on there like that. It's kind of a little hands-free thing. But you can watch for the post when Cordy posts them for Black Friday special. And I don't know if it was going to be Fiber Monday or what. We're not sure. So it's coming. So that is our quick little project for tonight. You can see our silver one is still crackling away. It's just as that glue dries, they just keep crackling. And we did use the heat gun just to kind of quicken it up a little bit tonight for you guys to see. Then this is one of the first classes we did with the tissue paper crunched on our piece and then made into little pieces and then painted on over the top of the base coat. So that we did that video as well. And you could do this with different colors too. But I think once these are sealed, it'll actually bring out the color better too. Anything usually when it's sealed looks better, but I generally let these dry overnight and then spray them with my aerosol sealer. I like the satin on the pumpkins. You could use brush-on sealers too. So that's kind of our quick little class for tonight, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me see. Friend Gabe to use the paper towel. Okay. That's a good one. So Courtney posted the link for the tissue paper one. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque. She puts the videos on there, but starting next week, right? We will, that's where we will come live on. I believe Courtney will probably put the link on the Facebook page here so you guys can find us, but otherwise go to Brenda's Brushstrokes and Bisque on YouTube and subscribe, and that way you should get the notices. And
The tissue paper, just use paint.
for the tissue paper, we just used paint. The piece was base coated with rust. We crinkled up tissue paper, probably into 1-inch pieces, or we crinkled up a big sheet of tissue paper, then we tore it into little 1-inch pieces, and then we painted that on over the top of the rust with rust again, and then we left that dry, and then we dry brushed it with the probably hot orange and orange peel, and then the stem with silver. But Courtney did share the links, so you can always go back and watch our videos. So that's kind of it. Make sure you do seal these a day or two after they're good and dry. You could dry brush your stem the next day too. This one we actually did the stem with the crackle as well, which is pretty cool too. So there's just tons of different stuff you can do with little simple things. Our little blue one, you can see he's getting more and more crackly as the paint is drying, so that's really like that look on the little dude. Would do the silver or gold cap on top and dry brush his face. Otherwise, we are working on your November box, which is Jack the Moose, Jack the medium ornament, and then the 2 small ornaments, which are also Jack. And you'll get snow and glitter, and then your pipe cleaners with that, and we will start painting him, painting the pieces next week. You'll also get your brush, which is an extra in the box for the rest of this year yet. So if you haven't paid your invoices, please pay your invoices, and then we'll be boxing and shipping through the weekend. Should finish up Monday, I would think, at the latest, the way it looks. So let's see. Elizabeth says she likes the refresher course. So yeah, it's just fun to show you guys some different stuff you can do with different stuff, from tissue paper to glue or whatever. But we'll keep at it, and otherwise, I guess, have a great week. We have a little heat wave coming for us. Supposed to be 60 on Sunday, but we'll be boxing, so... let's see, Jean wants to know the base coat of the moose. I think he was black-brown. That'll all be coming in your box, the instructions, whoever's getting the instructions, and then we'll be painting him live next week, so unboxing the box. And otherwise, you guys have a great week and enjoy the summer, fall weather that we're going to have this weekend if you're getting that. And thanks for joining us tonight. Good night.